Hi, I'm Tricia, Research Manager at Immerse.
I'm Christina, Curriculum and Assessment Manager at Immerse.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots, Converse on the Verse. This show is all about diving into the pedagogy and efficacy behind Immerse, the first virtual reality language learning platform designed specifically for live language teaching and learning.
In this episode, hear from our Head of Education and Customer Support on Immerse's Referral Partnership Program.
Okay, welcome everyone to this week's episode of Connecting the Dots, Converse on the Verse. And this week, Christina and I have Misty Wilson, Dr. Misty Wilson, with us, who is Immerse's Head of Education and Customer Support. Welcome, Misty.
Yes, thanks. I'm so excited you finally found time to talk with me.
We are so excited.
Here.
And today we're going to be asking Misty all about our university referral partnership program that we launched just a couple of months ago. So we're excited for her to tell you kind of all about it and how it works. So I'll kick us off. And Misty, if you could just tell us what is the referral program. Christina and I have referenced it a couple of times in past podcasts, but we haven't really explained what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are just making it easier for universities and language programs to purchase subscriptions for their learners. So one of the things Christina and I had talked about a lot is that when we were at IEPs, we would have loved to have a solution like this for our learners. And so we started just kind of chatting and I bet other universities would be interested in getting this kind of practice for their students. And so, we are looking for universities that are struggling to find conversation practice for their learners. And we all know that it's just hard to organize conversation chats to get students to show up to those. And we know that a lot of our learners like to stay with their group of learners that they came with, right? So all of our students, even though they might be living in the United States or they might be living in the UK while they're studying English, even for them, it can be really hard for them to find those experiences to engage in English. So we're really excited about some of the universities and private language schools that we've been talking with and how they're thinking about using Immerse.
So great, Misty. You were saying how universities, some of them are looking at it to take advantage of this to help with conversations. And we've been at a lot of conferences, but if a university hasn't seen us at a conference, how can they take advantage of it? How can they learn more about the program?
Yeah, so they can reach out to me by email. We'll add my email address on here. And we start with just like a first meeting where we can do a little demo, walk you through, what our platform offers for students, show you how they can use like our AI practice scenes to practice 24/7. And then we can meet with other stakeholders on campus. So sometimes, as we're talking with other teachers on campus who are interested in learning more about this, and we want to show some of the curriculum behind what we're doing, what our conversation groups are like. So we can go into some of those details and answer any questions to get buy-in from other stakeholders on campus. And then we've also done some demos for students as well, where we've called in through Google Meet and we can kind of show some of the features to drum up excitement. So I know University of Central Florida, they did an interest meeting. So that's how they launched Immerse at UCF. They threw some pizza down and said, hey, who's interested in a conversation group in VR? And so we did a demo and shared with students how they can access the platform and the features of it. So yeah, those are, usually starts with just, an email, and then we're happy to set up a conversation and share more.
Excellent. And Misty, for those who may be listening for the first time, can you walk them through what exactly is included in a membership for students?
Yeah, absolutely. So for that one membership, monthly membership fee, students can access our 4 core features. So the first is our live lessons that are 35 minutes. So they're really short and focused on a really narrow communicative task. And those are in small groups and led by an instructor. And then after that lesson completes, the learners have 10 minutes to stay in that scene and do some peer-to-peer learning. which our users actually take advantage of, which I know we were surprised when we launched that, like, will learners stay back and actually continue practicing? So that's been great to see. So those lessons are offered throughout the day and students can register for them ahead of time. And then our second core feature are the conversation groups that we have. And so these are set in one of our 40 scenes, and they're focused on different themes. They're led by an instructor, but less structured than our lessons. And so this really gives students a chance to practice conversations in these real settings, like in the hotel, in a restaurant, in the airport. And because the teacher's there, they're able to help if there's like a breakdown in language to support the learners there, can help adapt to different levels that might be showing up and making sure that students are grouped with others that are in their level. And so those conversation groups, what's great about them is that they're throughout the day as well, but we know students don't plan ahead a lot of times and they just jump on when they have time. So what's great is that when there's one live, they can jump in at any time, and they can stay also for as long as they want. So even though that conversation group might be 3 hours on our schedule, they can jump in if they just have 15 minutes, or if they've got an hour and want to stay. Some will stay like a couple of hours as well if they have a lot of time. That's great to see. Then our third feature is our AI powered practice scenes. So in these scenes, your learners can go into the doctor's office, and we have avatars that are powered by ChatGPT-4 and have a conversation about, oh, my friend is sick and needs to see a doctor. And so what's great about these is that we have preset tasks that they should go through. And so it kind of gives them a guideline of like, okay, what do? I walk up to this person that's at the desk, but what do I do? But if they're wanting to have different conversations or take the conversation in a different way, they also have the freedom to do that as well. And these are open 24/7. And my favorite part about them is that learners can go in by themselves and practice, especially or first time users, and they just want to get comfortable trying to speak a little. They might want to do that on their own, but they can also choose a public version. So then they can just join other learners who are on the platform. But then what's really exciting is that they can also use a private code that could be shared. So if you do have, let's say, a teacher that's wanting to have a group of students that join in a scene together, that teacher could just share that code with those learners. And then they could be, in our shopping center together. And then the teacher could lead their own conversation practice utilizing the platform. So I really love that feature. And then our fourth feature that you get with that monthly subscription is access to our Commons, which has different language games, and it's a public forum. So it's really meant for users to meet other people. We have a lot of motivated learners, which is really awesome. And we know, like, even just being around someone else who's very motivated to learn can help motivate you. And so in those, in the Commons area, they can play games. And then we've got some, we have a Discord channel where our users can message outside of class times to arrange meetings. And, we'll see that all the time where someone's like, hey, I've got 5 minutes. Does anyone want to jump in with me? So all of that for just, a really reasonable monthly subscription for the schools.
So that's great. You kind of have led us to our next question here. So, as a former department chair, director, you as a former director, cost is always an issue, right? So when you're making choices about what ancillaries you want to use, cost is, a huge factor. So what is the cost and how does it compare really to other ancillaries that might be out there?
Yeah. So for our regular user base, what we advertise online is $35 per month per learner. And so how programs would do is that they would purchase in bulk, however many subscriptions that they want. And we can do 1 month, 3 month, or even 6 or 12-month subscriptions. And then those and then depending on the amount that's purchased, it can range from $17 to $30 per month per user. So it just kind of depends on the number of subscriptions and how long you want those subscriptions to last. But I mean, when, again, thinking about the digital tools that, we would require our students to use, that we're providing so little value when you compare to like what Immerse is offering in terms of, not just having the space to practice these role plays, but then to have, teachers that are guiding learners through these activities, and users that are already a lot on the platform and really motivated to learn. I think it's an extremely great price. And because our app can be accessed on VR headsets and on desktop computers, this is really great for programs that might have a VR lab on campus, and you know that your students can still access the app when they go to their dorm or back to their home. Or if you don't have a VR, lab on campus, you can just offer this on computer. But we still have a lot of students who have VR headsets now, and so they might be able to access that then in their home. So it's a really great value, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I think it's
I
huge
agree.
compared to some other ancillaries I've used in the past. Yeah. Okay,
I
Tricia.
think no, I was just gonna say, I think one of my favorite things about it is there's so many options. Like when Misty was walking us through the four, even within each one, there's so many different ways you can use them. Like the AI scenes, they can do public,
Right.
they can do private, they can do group. And so, Misty, I'm wondering if you can tell us, like for those listening, how some of our partners are using these already. So you mentioned UCF, and I know we have like Aoyama University as well. How are they actually using them with students, just to give people an idea?
Yeah, so I think that there's a variety of ways that we've seen universities and then private language programs that are wanting to use Immerse. At we've some are using it like a conversation club. So you mentioned, we mentioned UCF. They're doing a virtual reality conversation club. So I think that's really smart because it allows you to market, your program as being innovative and in the future, right? And virtual reality is going to take over the language learning scene because there's just so many opportunities in these rich environments to use language. So I think universities are seeing like that's a way to really, at a really low cost, be able to move into the future like one step at a time. So we have other programs that are thinking of bundling it in with their other services. So they might just be offering, an 8-week English course to au pairs that are going to Canada. And so we have one that's looking at, just bundling that in. And so as a part of the regular face-to-face classes that they're having, in addition, they'll be able to access Immerse. And so then they'll be able to kind of take what they're learning in class with the teachers in their own program and then really use our conversation groups as a way to continue that learning. And so I think it really depends on, the type of program, the type of institution. So what's interesting to me is how these different pieces are interested in different features, right? So some are really
Mm-hmm.
excited about the lesson. Some are really excited about the conversation group. Some are like, hey, I could deal with, I don't need either of those, but the practice scenes, that's really what I want my learners to have access to. So again, because you can access all of those with the subscription, the programs can really kind of pick and choose like what is of value to them that they want to push their learners to do.
I
Right.
think that's fabulous. And I think, we all can assist or help guide some of these programs too, right?
Yeah, I
To
mean,
meet
there's
their
and
needs.
programs have reached out and said like, "Hey, I like here's my curriculum. How do you think that this fits in?" And sometimes we need, there are some programs that we're kind of concerned of like, "Hey, we have teachers already," and the teachers are like, "Why would we need this additional supplement to what we're doing?" And I think that we've been able to communicate. We're not an academic preparation course, right? We're not like for specific purposes. So we deal with the kind of like everyday language situations that we don't get a lot of time to do in the class, like, because we are focused on preparing them for a goal. And so some of these really important, like social language skills, we just don't have the time to handle. And so this just allows, universities and programs to kind of take what they don't have time, but we know is valuable and just insert it into their current offering.
Absolutely.
Well,
Excellent.
Misty, thank you so, so, so much for joining us. We know that you're very busy, so we appreciate your time. And I think it'll be really helpful for people to kind of listen to how you explained everything. So we'll be back next week with another episode, and we'll see you then.